This week on Work for Avocados, we're flying all the way down to the land of the rights. El Salvador is said to be a surfer's paradise with warm water and a seemingly endless supply of point breaks. It's also the first time in the country's history of hosting a stop on the WSL, which is the World Surf League. With celebrations and a super good wave forecast up ahead, you might be surprised to hear what's really got me stoked doesn't even take place in the water.
What's going on, guys? Michael here with Work for Avocados. We're out here in El Salvador at Puro Surf. This place has an awesome surf skate bowl. I've traveled really far mainly to surf this, almost more so than the waves themselves.
So what's really awesome about this trip is that there's a wave ramp somewhat close to where we're staying. It's basically a long concrete, copingless bowl designed to practice surf maneuvers as accurately as possible. A few days into my trip, I decided it was finally skate day. Alan drove me into town and dropped me off at the door of Puro Surf. It's a luxury resort and surf training facility with an infinity pool overlooking the water and currently housing many professional surfers in town for the contest. I'd like to mention this video was not sponsored by Puro Surf. Luckily for me, they have a $30 day pass because there's no way I could afford to stay here overnight.
I hit up the wave ramp earlier, and they do offer surf skate classes, and they did have an intermediate to advanced one, so I was pretty curious on what exactly that entailed. I'm curious to see a high professional surfer's approach to surf skating, so I'm pretty stoked on that. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. This channel's all about surfing, skating, and being stoked on the small stuff, and I'll see you when I get home.
I had the chance to work with Stanley Perez. He's a local ripper and surf instructor out of El Salvador. Between not having an extra filmer, the lesson being in Spanish, and poor audio quality, I'll be retelling you guys the 10 biggest lessons I learned from the surf skate wave ramp. Number 1, warming up isn't optional. A lot of times we don't have a lot of time to be able to do this before we paddle out, so we get into the bad habit of just going for it. But if we're really making the time in our training to practice, then it's really important to warm up to prevent injuries and really make the most of our sessions. I have been skating wrong for almost 10 years. I was a little jarred to hear that Stanley said my stance was wrong. When he explained it to me though, it made a ton of sense and I immediately felt a difference. As a goofy foot skater, I have my right foot forward and typically my right hand would be my leading hand. What Stanley had me do though was he had me have my trailing hand, my left hand as a goofy foot skater, lead in the front, and then I had my right hand now down to the right of my knee to act as a pivot point or an anchor. Number 3 seems like it would be easy, but it is crucial. Your eyes are going to lead where you go. Even though it's something that I preach on this channel a lot, it's something that I still need to work on, as Stanley pointed out, and I need to look higher and above my shoulder when I'm looking at the peak of something, and that's really going to have those shoulders pulled back and get my chest up higher where I can drive, be explosive, and still have a lot of balance. If we take a look at this clip, you'll see that I make the drop in and I have my eye down the line. I make the lateral movement and I'm not looking up at the peak, so I never open up my arms and chest wide enough to climb up the face of the wave. Number 5 is surprising, and they're used in a little bit of a different way than you might imagine. Cones are not only awesome for practicing the tightness of your radius on your turns, but they can also be used as a reminder to know when you're crouching low enough, not only backside but on your bottom turns as well. And there's a difference between leaning forward by hunching and actively getting low and reaching forward with your hand with a straight back ready to drive up. Numbers 5 and 6 are two sides of the same coin. This is the meat and potatoes of it all. Your bigger moves are all heavily guided by this backhand. As a goofy rider, this is going to be my left, and by keeping that hand high, it acts as a counterbalance for the legs. It keeps me in a more tilted up position, remaining higher up on the face of the wave. If we want to do a big hack, we use that hand from up high to diagonally across and down the chest to the other knee in a slashing motion. Looking back at a lot of footage, I see that I was throwing my hand in the wrong direction on my moves, especially frontside for some reason. So this drill is the one I had the most difficulty with, but a drill you have difficulty with just means you can improve your riding that much more. If you guys have found this information useful so far, leave a comment below with what helped you the most. It'd be great for the community to all learn with each other and keep on pushing. Number 7, when we perform our cutbacks, not only will our hands be high up, but your palms should be turned towards the direction that you want to go. This is where some more flexibility can help you achieve a higher range of motion, and you can try turning your pinkies a little bit more towards the sky to make sure that scapula is pulled back, which will give you some extra range with your shoulder. Number 8. In skateboarding, we come at things very head-on and direct like a half pipe. But surfing is much more parallel and down the beach with the wave to your side. There are vertical movements, but we're driving from a lateral plane. If you're trying some of these techniques at the park, try and come at the quarter pipe or the bank more sideways to get a more accurate feeling of what it'd be like to do on the wave. Number 9 was another one that surprised me, and that's how useful chalk can be. Chalk is great to have a visual representation for practicing that same line again and again, and by actually drawing it out, you can really challenge yourself into remaining fluid under more critical positions. And finally, review. Having someone like Stanley there to correct my postures and movement was a tremendous value. But if you're not in El Salvador and can't come see him directly, which I do highly recommend, I suggest getting a cheap tripod for your phone and filming your sessions. There's a lot you can learn from watching yourself. I notice bad habits in my riding all the time. But having an outsider perspective might be the key to taking your riding to the next level. I know on paper, some of these may not seem like the most exciting drills. I was a pretty big skeptic myself. I like skating big bowls, I love doing big maneuvers, so I wasn't really expecting to learn anything from something like cone drills. But with surf skating, we're looking to build that muscle memory with the proper body mechanics so we can perform our best out in the water. I got more value and carryover from this session than I ever did trying to emulate my riding in a big bowl. My name is Michael. I'm an average surfer from North Florida who loves skating and being stoked on the small stuff. This channel is documenting my journey into being a better board rider, whether it be skating, shortboarding, longboarding, or whatever else I pick up along the way. If that sounds like a similar path you might be on, maybe consider pressing the subscribe button with notifications turned on. Be sure to check back next time to see our experience accidentally sneaking into the WSL. And we even got to skate a private jungle bowl.
Oh, what? This is sick!
I'll see you next time. Thank you guys for watching Work for Avocados.